One day, while walking inside a cave, the demon and recognized great magician Romberg encountered a pack of wolves. After he had killed them, he saw the dead bodies of the victims hugging their infant child. Since the baby was still alive, he decided to adopt it. He named the child Ike, and as the child grew, he taught him different types of magic. To hide Ike's true identity as a human, Romberg made him wear a cloak and mask. A few years later, he also joined the Demon Lord's army and became the Undying Brigade commander of the 7th Army Corps. The Demon Lord decided to begin the attack on the humans, and Ike was the brigade commander who led it. Because of his leadership skills, they conquered the impregnable fortress city of Arsenum in just a week. He even impressed his commander, named Sapphiro. But it was not easy for him to see the plight of those injured in the war because he still had the heart of a human being. He placed a powerful barrier around the room he was in, so that no demon could enter while he was without his mask. But he was surprised when he saw a female servant under the table. She begged him for her life, but she accidentally knocked herself unconscious. His assistant, Jerome, arrived just in time, so he left her alone. While walking on the street, the citizens of Arsenum talked to him because they wanted to know how much tax they had to pay to the Demon Lord's army. After he answered them, he was suddenly teleported to another place where he was attacked by a golem. But he knew that his commander was the one who did it, so he used his magic to defeat his opponent. Sapphiro never thought that the boy who always hid behind Romberg would become one of the most powerful sorcerers. She was the only demon who knew his secret as a human. He found out that the reason she summoned him was because the Demon Lord Darokuten wanted to see him. Sapphiro thought that Ike might have impressed the Demon Lord too, so they would head to the Demon Lord's castle. In order for the guards not to notice that he was a human, Sapphiro surrounded his entire body with magic. The guards were not surprised because he was the grandson of the master magician, and that was when he learned that his grandfather was well known in this place. After they entered the castle, he once again remembered the deeds of their demon lord. This was also the first time he would meet him, so he could not help but feel nervous. He thought he was a scary demon, but when he faced the demon lord, he was surprised to find that it was a woman. As they talked about his success in conquering the arsenal, he couldn't help but humbly admit it, causing the demon lord to think that he was like a human. But after Sapphiro said that he was Romberg's grandson, the demon lord thought that Ike might have inherited this trait from him. But the demon lord still wondered why he let the warriors on the human side live, including their commander. Luckily, he had an answer ready that he also learned from his grandfather. However, the demon lord still could not help but notice that he was different from the demons, and she wanted to see his face the next time they met. Then their conversation ended, and Ike breathed a sigh of relief. Sapphiro told him about the demon lord's reward for him, but it also seemed like a punishment. It was decided that he would be the one to rule the town of Ivalias, and this place would serve as the front line of their army. His mission was to protect it and double the taxes he needed to collect. When he returned to the arsenal, he woke up the maid who begged to spare her life again. So he told her that he had no intention of killing her. She introduced herself as Sati, and Ike made her as his personal maid because she already knew his secret. He also brought her to Ivalias along with the other demons he led. They immediately began repairing the walls before the humans could launch an attack. Because of the strategy he created, Jerome was amazed by his intelligence. And he also thought that Ike might be the next demon lord. While the other demon lord's army was fighting against the Rosaria army, they learned that they were planning to ally with another country. The demon lord knew that this day would come, so she thought to leave this mission to Ike. Ike and Sati immediately went to the Rosaria to confirm this. While they were walking around, Sati bet on a gambler in the alley to try her luck. The man thought he could fool someone again, but it turned out that Ike knew the trick that he was doing. So when his secret was revealed, the people he deceived beat him up. When they continued observing, Ike noticed that the soldiers seemed to be in a hurry, so he thought that the alliance of kings might be real. People had been doing this several times, and every time they do, the demons were forced to retreat and return to Doberberg. Sati was worried that Ike would abandon her because even if she were free from the hands of the demons, she might return to being a slave like the children in prison. Ike just said that there was nothing to worry about because their demon lord was the smartest and most powerful demon in history. They were about to continue when someone called out to them, and it was the man who was beaten by the players in the alley. He wanted to get revenge on Ike and get Sati for himself. After Ike saw that there was no one else around, he used his power against these men. Then he used the ice spear to immobilize them. He took advantage of this opportunity to ask about the activity of the soldiers in the city. He learned that the Rosaria army was planning to attack Ivalias before the Alliance of Kings began to take action. He immediately thought that the reason Rosaria was doing this was to gain honor and rise above other countries. Rosaria chose the White Rose Knights commander, named Alistair, to lead the army that would attack Ivalias. They did not waste any more time and immediately sent her to do the mission. When Ike returned to Ivalias, the succubus Lilith, who had a crush on him, suddenly arrived. She met Sati and immediately considered her arrival to Ike. A few hours later, Alistair's army was already stationed not far from Ivalias. But before they could attack, the skeletons that were guarding the area around Ivalias rose from the ground. Then other demons also took action to attack them, and since Alistair did not expect this, she was forced to withdraw her army. As Ike watched Alistair's army retreat, he did not know that someone would attack him from behind. He was shot by an arrow and immediately lost consciousness. Meanwhile, Alistair's general learned of their retreat, and he was so disappointed that he decided to have her imprisoned. When Ike regained consciousness, he was surprised to see Sapphiro sleeping beside him. It turned out that she was the one who treated the wound he had sustained from the arrow. He was advised to rest first because he was still a human being. He took the arrow that hit him, and since it came from behind, he wanted to confirm whether it was the work of the enemies or if there was a traitor in his army. He instructed Jerome to find out where Alistair was, and when he learned that she was in prison, he immediately went to see her. Together with Lilith, they entered the prison without difficulty. When he entered Alistair's prison, he was suddenly attacked, forcing him to stop her. He did not hesitate and immediately asked her if she had sent an assassin to Ivalias to kill him. But while he was talking, Alistair also wondered if he was really a demon. When the prison guards realized that someone entered the area, Alistair took advantage of this opportunity to point a knife on Ike. When the soldiers approached, Ike used magic to weaken their senses. He put the soldiers to sleep, but was suddenly attacked by a giant soldier. He used his power on the attacker, but he did not kill him, so Alistair was surprised by this. After a few moments, the floor where Alistair was standing suddenly collapsed, so Ike quickly saved her. Ike introduced himself and asked Alistair again if she had sent an assassin to Ivalias. But Alistair still did not answer, so he used mind reading. Lilith arrived a short while later, and after Ike got the information he needed, they left immediately. Based on the information he obtained from Alistair, he could say that she had nothing to do with the attempted assassination on him. After they returned to Ivalias, he summoned the entire army and used his mind reading on them. Because Alistair had nothing to do with the assassination, he had a strong hunch that one of them attacked him. In just a few moments, he had tracked down the spy, so Ike immediately approached him. The demon could do nothing but tell him everything he knew. After that, he went to Sapphiro to inform her that the vice-commander of the 7th Corps, named Jace, was the traitor to their army. Sapphiro did not hesitate to hold this traitor accountable. So the very next morning, Ike visited Jace in the town where he was assigned. He suspected that Ike already knew that he was the mastermind behind the assassination, so he gathered all his troops. But before they could even attack, Sapphiro attacked them with Meteor's shower. Ike's men also attacked Jace's disciples who tried to escape. Jace ordered his other men to attack Ike, and he took advantage of this opportunity to escape. But before he could get far, he was surprised when Ike suddenly attacked him. The two of them fought, but Jace was weak in battle, so Ike easily defeated him. He thought of encouraging Ike to join their group and work together to carry out a rebellion against their demon lord. When Ike refused, Jace immediately attacked him, but Ike managed to dodge it. When Sapphiro arrived, she did not do anything to Jace because the traitor was slowly being consumed by the poison. Ike tried to use an antidote spell, but it did not work. Before Jace took his last breath, Sapphiro convinced him to tell who was the mastermind in the rebellion. They learned that it was the commander of the 3rd Corps, named Bastio, so they immediately met with the demon lord to inform her. But it turns out that Bastio was also there and had already told the demon lord something. He said that Sapphiro and her men just wanted to frame him for helping them eliminate their vice commander. He suspected that Sapphiro just wanted to have the entire army of the Third Corps. Despite his effort to get the demon lord on his side, she already knew what Bastio was planning. And although Sapphiro's loyalty to her was true, she had shortcomings in handling her army. They were both needed to be punished, but the demon lord did not want to lose two commanders. Since she did not want to let this pass, she decided to hold a duel. This duel was not a direct battle between Sapphiro and Bastio, but rather, it would show how they would properly lead their army of puppets. Sapphiro wanted Ike to serve as the commander of her army because she was sure that Ike had surpassed her if the talent as a commander was part of the criteria. Ike could not refuse anymore, so he decided to think of a good plan on how he could use the puppets properly. He asked Sati for ideas in case she came up with a good plan. When Sati suggested the crossbow, Ike thought of the gun because he was sure that Bastio did not know about it. He knew that Sapphiro was capable of creating it, but when he talked to her, she denied that she could make a gun because she had never seen one before. Ike could not understand why Sapphiro was just relaxing even though her life would be the price if she lost in the duel. At night, after he took a bath, the demon lord suddenly appeared to him. She was carrying something that he was asked to open, and it turned out to be guns. It turned out she knew he needed guns, and she also knew that he was Ike. He even tried to deny that he was Ike, but the demon lord said that it was Romberg himself who revealed his identity as a human. He wondered why he was not killed, so the demon lord said it was because she wanted to fulfill his dream. She had great confidence that he had the ability to fulfill this dream. When the day of the duel arrived, Ike noticed the armor worn by Bastio's puppets. Bastio said that it was a gift from the demon lord because she might really want him to win over Ike. This made Ike wonder if the demon lord just wanted a fair fight, or if she just wanted to test him. When the duel began, some of Ike's puppets were lost from the attack done by Bastio's puppets who used different types of weapons. Bastio thought his victory was certain, but he was surprised when Ike had his puppets use the guns. With these weapons, Bastio's entire army was quickly exhausted, making Ike the winner of the duel. When the demon lord approached Bastio, she asked him to choose whether he would kill himself or the demon lord would do it. But it turned out that Bastio had something else planned because he ordered his disciple to attack the demon lord. Even though the demon lord was able to grab the arrow, it had explosives attached to it and parts of the arena also exploded. Apart from this, Bastio also ordered to eliminate the demons who were planning to fight them. He was confident that he would soon be appointed the new demon lord. He even offered Ike to just surrender and would give him a good position in his army. But Ike just refused because he knew that Bastio would never become a demon lord. Because of this, Bastio started to have his disciples attack Ike. Even though there were so many of them, they could not even hit Ike. They were helpless against Ike's attacks, causing them to gradually diminish. A few moments later, Ike rushed at Bastio and this surprised the commander. However, this was still not enough to completely eliminate his opponent. Bastio once again had his disciples attack, hoping that Ike would run out of magic. Since dark magic had no effect on the undead, Ike decided to use white magic. Using this, the undead were quickly dispelled, causing Bastio to worry. One of his disciples was about to try to target Ike, but Sapphiro stopped him. At that moment the 7th Army Corps arrived to fight Bastio's army. The demon lord suddenly appeared which surprised Bastio. She said that she would allow Bastio to live only if he defeated Ike. Since Bastio was confident that he could defeat his opponent, he immediately began attacking Ike. He attacked repeatedly while Ike just used the barrier to block it. When he attacked with dark magic, Ike countered it with white magic, so Bastio was surprised when his hand melted. Sapphiro wondered when Ike had learned this, while the demon lord was not too surprised. When Bastio rushed in again, that was when Ike broke the sword he was using. He used dark magic, so Ike countered it with white magic again. Because Ike had hit him in the body, Bastio was completely defeated. A short while later, the demon lord approached Ike to offer him the position of commander of the 3rd Army Corps. Since Ike could not answer yet, the demon lord gave him time to think. The next day, Sapphiro spoke to the demon lord to oppose what she had offered to Ike. Sapphiro did not want to lose Ike from her army, and said that she should be the one to decide on this because Ike was under her command. Suddenly, Ike came to tell the demon lord his decision. He did not want to accept the position because he thought he still had a lot to learn from Sapphiro. Because Sapphiro no longer had a vice commander, she appointed him as the new vice commander. A few days later, the Alliance of Kings began to move and easily defeated the Second Corps that was trying to conquer Alesta. The members of the Second Corps were known to be great warriors, but they were quickly defeated. After Jerome heard about this, he immediately informed Ike. Ike had a strong feeling that the Alliance of Kings would definitely come and attack Ivalia's. If they lose, it would be easy for the opponents to regain the arsenal. And if this happened, the Demon Lord's army would be forced to return to Doberberg. His dream of creating a city where humans and demons live together would never come true. He had already thought of a way to defeat the Alliance of Kings, and that was by using guns. But they have a problem with this weapon because according to Fiorentina, their creations were destroyed immediately after a single shot. Sapphiro suggested that they just use magic, but Ike disagreed because magic could cause a lot of damage. Fiorentina suggested that it would be better if they sought help from the dwarves, who were known for their metalwork. After they were defeated by the humans, they separated, and in order to reunite the dwarves, they had to rescue the dwarf king Gunther who was currently imprisoned in the Ismuth kingdom. Gunther once again remembered the day when the Ismuth kingdom army attacked them. In his desire to save his son Batson, he was forced to surrender and let the Ismuth kingdom take advantage of their talent. A short while later, Lilith arrived to get him out of there and take him to Ivalia's. He wondered why a demon was saving him, and because he had so many questions, Lilith just put him to sleep. When Jerome arrived, they immediately left before another guard catch up with them. But when they came out, it turned out that many soldiers from the Ismuth kingdom were on guard. Ike instructed them to avoid fighting, so they just ran away. Luckily, Ike came to help them, and they were able to get out successfully. When Gunther regained consciousness, Ike immediately spoke to him. Ike did not hesitate any longer and informed him why they let him out of jail. When Gunther saw the gun, he confirmed that he could create the same weapon. But he did not want to be a slave to demons and would rather die. Because of this, Ike took him outside to show the unity between demons and humans. If he agreed to the offer, Ike would ask the demon lord to rebuild the dwarf kingdom. Gunther did not believe it because a kingdom cannot be formed without its inhabitants. So Ike brought him to the shop where the dwarves were working, including Batson. After he learned what Ike and his people did to his race, he decided to accept Ike's offer. The Ismuth kingdom immediately learned of Gunther's escape with the help of demons. But the general did not pay much attention to it because Gunther was useless anyway. Instead, they decided to focus on attacking Ivalia's. With the help of the dwarves, the demons were able to quickly gather a lot of guns. The other demons from the 7th Army Corps also arrived to help them defend Ivalia's. Since Ike was the vice commander, and Sapphiro assigned him to lead the battle, the other brigade commanders had to follow him. This was not a problem for other brigade commanders, especially when they learned that Ike defeated the former commander of the 3rd Corps. A few days later, the Alliance of Kings army arrived. Because of this, Ike immediately prepared their army. When the Alliance of Kings ordered their first squad to attack, they accompanied it with catapults and ballistas. But these did not work because of Ike's bright barrier. The general attacked again with catapults and ballistas, but Ike still blocked them. But on their third attempt, they used their magicians to counter the bright barrier. They thought they could easily enter Ivalia's, but it turned out that other demons were ready to stop them. But because of their numbers, others were already trying to climb the wall. Based on the observation of the assistant general, it would not be long before the demons' defense collapsed. But the general wanted to end the battle immediately, so they could have dinner in peace. To do this, they would need to use the catapult again, which surprised his assistant because their soldiers would be killed too. In the end, they obeyed the general, causing not only the demons to perish but also the Alliance soldiers. Because there was already a hole in the wall, the general ordered the 2nd squad to attack. But they could not just enter Ivalia's because there were demons waiting to fight them. So the general decided to have their third squad attack as well. Ike ordered the werewolves to attack, and the riflemen, led by Jerome, also took action. For this reason, the enemies were forced to retreat and the time for the werewolves had ended. Before the other opponents could enter Ivalia's, Fiorentina closed the hole with her demon thorns. When it was time for Gaius to attack, they just created another hole. Based on the course of the battle, all of these were in line with Ike's plan. After Gaius finished fighting, the army of fanged beasts moved to target the enemy's catapults and other siege weapons. With their large numbers, the Alliance soldiers assigned in the fight could do nothing against them. They did not know that Ike had scouted the enemy's army, and he knew they had a reserve force. He begged Sapphiro to take care of them so they would no longer be able to join the battle. As the battle continued, the enemies wondered why they seemed to be losing even though they were so many compared to the demons. After the general learned that his second and third squads were defeated, he decided to let the entire army attack the demons. To boost the morale of his soldiers, he decided to join the battle. But before they could even get close to Ivalia's, the ground they were walking on suddenly split open. They immediately searched for their magicians, but it turned out that they had already been captured. When the general fell from his horse, Ike confronted him. He gave the general a chance to live as long as his army retreated. But the general refused, so Gunther attacked him. Gunther was about to kill the enemy, but Ike stopped him. However, Gunther had already made up his mind to really kill the general, and the general suddenly felt terrified, causing him to follow their demand to back down. Because of the demon's victory, the other brigade commanders were amazed by Ike's strategies. After a few hours, Sapphiro spoke to Ike to congratulate him on their victory. Then she gave him another mission, and it was to go to Zenobia, which was a trading city. Since he defeated the Alliance of Kings, the people of the Demon Lord's army would definitely launch an all-out attack. So in preparation, they would need a lot of food supplies in case war came. His mission on Zenobia was to talk to the Federation leader for a trade treaty. And Sapphiro promised that she would focus on rebuilding Ivalia's. After they talked, Ike spoke to Jerome and Lilith to assign them to lead Ivalia's temporarily. They wanted to join him on his journey to Zenobia, but he needed them to stay because they were the only ones he could trust. They agreed, but they did not know that Ike would be bringing Sati with him. When they were close to Zenobia, they heard a noise, and it was from the members of the Redbeard pirates who were attacking travelers. They wanted to capture the woman in the carriage and take her to their captain. But before they could get her, Ike took action to save the woman. When Ike saw the woman, he was surprised because of her resemblance to Sati. The woman's personal bodyguards could not believe that Ike had easily defeated the members of the Redbeard pirates. After he healed their wounds, the woman introduced herself to him as Uria Octave and was the daughter of Zenobia's leader. Since Uria's group was about to return to Zenobia, Ike and Sati come along with them. Ike introduced himself to Uria as Reich, a mage of Ismuth. They found out that Uria went to a nobleman's place for an arranged marriage, but Uria refused it. Uria thought that it was a good thing that she refused the proposal because she seemed wanted Ike to be her husband. When they arrived at Zenobia, Uria introduced them to her mother, Eltria, who was the Federation leader. Before their conversation began, Eltria decided to let Uria out of the room. Then she asked what a Demon Lord's army wanted from them, and this surprised Ike. Ike never thought that Eltria would find out that he was a member of the Demon Lord's army. Eltria said that she was not familiar of a mage from Ismuth named Reich, and she also learned from Uria and the guards that Ike was a powerful spellcaster. Because of this, Ike just told her the truth, and that although he was part of the Demon Lord's army, he was still a human. He added that his parents were human, but a demon raised him. Then he immediately announced his intention to sign a trade treaty with Zenobia. Eltria could not quite imagine that they would have a trade treaty with the Demon Lord's army because she knew it was extremely dangerous. She was worried that one day, the Demon Lord's army would just wipe out the people. So Ike said that this would not happen because his goal was for humans and demons to live together. However, Eltria still did not agree because they could not tell what might happen next, and there was a possibility that the demons would change their minds. To convince her, Ike said that they could wipe out the pirates who were causing trouble on the Zenobia. Eltria admitted that the pirates were a nuisance to them because the damage they caused to their city was equivalent to their annual budget. Eltria agreed to the trade treaty, but she also had conditions. The first was to destroy the pirates, and the second was to make him marry Yuria. Ike did not make a decision right away because even though he was a human, he still belonged to the Demon Lord's army. Eltria did not see it as a problem because she could see Ike's intelligence and honesty, and that he might become a Demon Lord, so she considered this as a good opportunity for them to have a good relationship. Suddenly, a guard entered the room to inform Eltria that the Redbeard pirates were attacking the port again. Their goal was to capture the passengers of a ship that was scheduled to depart. Since their captain, named Karasa, was a mage, Zenobia's guards could not stop them. Eltria asked Ike again if he would accept her conditions. When they arrived at the port, the pirates were no longer there since they had achieved their goal. After Ike helped the guard, he ordered him to prepare men and weapons because they would conduct a counterattack if the pirates tried to attack again. A few minutes later, Yuria approached Ike because she wanted to talk to him. It was about his mother's condition in their marriage. Ike thought Yuria did not want this, so Yuria immediately said that she wanted them to get married because she already liked him. Sati was just outside and overheard their conversation. Ike felt her presence immediately, but when he got out, Sati was gone. Sati decided to buy the ingredients they needed so that Ike would be happy with what she could do too. But one of the members of the Redbeard's pirates was already spying on her, thinking that she was the daughter of Zenobia's leader. So when they entered the small alley, he kidnapped her. He was taken to a room and there she learned that they had mistaken for Yuria. She tried to escape while calling out to Ike, but when she left the room, she was surprised because she was inside the ship and they were in the middle of the ocean. Karasa saw her, and even though the person who captured her said she was the daughter of Zenobia's leader, Karasa immediately knew that she was not Yuria. But it was fine with Karasa because he needed a maid. While Eltria was talking to Sati's guard, I came to tell her that he was going to find Sati and he needed a ship. Eltria immediately agreed and let him use the Vidine. After Sati got dressed, Karasa wanted her to serve him as her master. But Sati preferred to just do the work of a maid like what she does for Ike. She suggested that she would cook for him, and Karasa agreed. While she was in the kitchen preparing the food, she was thinking of a way to escape from there. After a while, she came up with a plan and asked those guarding her for wine, saying that she would use it in what she was cooking. When the wine was given to her, she poured it on the pan, causing it to catch fire. The guards immediately approached and tried to put out the fire, then she took advantage of the opportunity to pour alcohol on one of them, thus distracting them and giving her a chance to escape. When she saw a candle, she used it to set the ship on fire and to give signal to Ike where they were. But just a few minutes later, those who had been assigned to watch her earlier had tracked her down. She even tried to run, but Karasa caught her. Karasa did not want to kill her, but she would still be punished for what she did. When someone was about to amputate her legs, Ike arrived just in time and managed to save her. When Karasa saw Ike, he immediately ordered his men to kill him. Even though there were so many attacking him, they could not do anything against Ike's power. But because Ike did not want to kill them, he decided to throw them into the sea. Karasa suddenly attacked them, but luckily Ike quickly created a barrier. Using Karasa's powerful attacks, he attacked them non-stop. Ike was just trying to avoid them because he was protecting Sati. Because of the strength of these attacks, Karasa thought he had already eliminated them. So he was surprised when Ike appeared and used one of his strongest attacks that Karasa was unable to block. Karasa fell right into the ship they were using, and after they captured the other pirates, they returned to Zenobia. Since Ike had defeated the Redbeard pirates, he and Eltria signed their trade treaty. However, Eltria pleaded that they keep this agreement a secret because it would not do any good if the Alliance of Kings found out about it. Ike had no idea that soon the Alliance of Kings would defeat Sapphiro's army, which was currently in Alesta. There was a gathering in Zenobia and Eltria wanted to introduce Ike to other nobles as Yuria's fiancé. But Ike never imagined that this would serve as his and Yuria's wedding ceremony. While he was complaining to Eltria, a light suddenly entered the room. It turned out to be the demon lord who wanted Ike back because Sapphiro's life was in danger. Due to the large number of enemies and the lack of food supplies, the demons were having a hard time fighting the army of the Red Dragon Division led by E. Ruddle. Ike and Sati immediately returned to Ivalia's using teleportation magic. After Jerome entered, they learned that the Alliance of Kings had also launched an attack on Ivalia's. But luckily, a female demon helped them and successfully stopped the army of the Alliance of Kings. Ike planned to go to Alesta immediately to help Sapphiro, so he had Jerome prepare the demons that they could bring with them. But because there were also many wounded from the previous attack, and they also had to leave some to protect Ivalia's, they might only gather less than 500 demons in the army. Gunther suddenly came in to tell Ike that they also wanted to go to Alesta. Ike did not want them to do it because the dwarves had nothing to do with the battle between demons and humans, but Gunther still insisted. Ike could do nothing but agree, so people also begged him to help if they could. They wanted to repay their debt to Ike because since he took over Ivalia's, their lives had been doing well. Besides this, the demons also made great sacrifices in the previous battle just to protect them. Jerome did not want to accept people's help, so Lilith kicked him. Along with Sati, they kept scolding him and said that he should let Ike decide what to do. Ike accepted the people's help and he planned to divide their army so that the rest would be left in Ivalia's to protect it. But Ike advised them that in case the Alliance of Kings attacked, it would be better if they just surrender. Once the Alliance found out that the humans were collaborating with demons, they would definitely be punished severely and Ike did not want this to happen to them. The very next morning, they set off towards Alesta. It would take 4 days of walking before they reached the place, and Ike was worried that they would also lose due to a large number of enemies, so he had to come up with a good plan while they were traveling. While Sapphiro continued to fight Eruddle's army, she encountered the mage Valtel. But because she had something else planned, she tried to avoid his attacks. She managed to get away from the enemy, and when she saw that the army was outside the range, she began casting for her attack on them. But just as she was about to finish her attack, someone suddenly shot an arrow on her. It turned out to be Eruddle, and due to extreme weakness, she lost consciousness. She was locked in the basement to be a hostage because Eruddle planned to wipe out the entire 7th Army Corps. He knew that Sapphiro's brigade commanders would definitely come as long as they had her. It was here that they both remembered that they had met before in Ivalia's. Sapphiro thought that if she had killed Eruddle before, she would not have to experience this humiliation. While Ike and his companions were resting in the middle of their journey, they took advantage of this opportunity to train people to use the guns. Apart from this, the dwarves were also gradually developing their new weapons. When they were close to the location, Ike assigned Jerome to keep an eye on Alesta. Their plan of attack would be based on what Jerome would say. Jerome returned and informed Ike about the scarecrow that the enemy had made using the cloak and hat that belonged to Sapphiro. When Ike saw this, he was sure that Sapphiro was still alive. After he learned from Jerome the name of the enemy commander, he knew that the enemy was using Sapphiro as a bait so that the brigade commanders would go there. They decided to hold a strategy meeting first and launch the attack the next morning at dawn. When the time came for their attack, Ike began by using his power to target the enemies. Eruddle immediately gathered their army and used their catapults to attack as well. As Eruddle watched Ike's army, he wondered why they were barely moving when they should have to try to save Sapphiro and the other demons. He suddenly remembered the commander of the Undying Brigade, and had a strong feeling that this was the commander of the army they were facing. He ordered Sapphiro to be carefully watched and Valtel to be prepared. They had no idea that Lilith had already entered Sapphiro's prison. So while the other soldiers were guarding Fiorentina and the demons, they noticed the glowing things falling from the sky. It was Lilith's power to put the enemies to sleep. When Fiorentina saw Lilith, she immediately approached her, but someone suddenly shot her from behind. They saw Valtel with his soldiers and he told Lilith that Eruddle already knew what they were planning. But Lilith just laughed because what Ike told them was really happening. That was when Jerome appeared, and at Lilith's signal to Ike, Ike immediately sent the riflemen. Because of this, Valtel and his soldiers could do nothing, and the orcs took advantage of this chance to attack. After Fiorentina lost consciousness, Sapphiro could no longer control her anger and targeted Valtel. She did not let him get up and immediately eliminated him. The other soldiers quickly ran away, and when Sapphiro was about to chase them, Lilith stopped her. Sapphiro found out that Ike was the one who planned everything that they were going to do. Soon, Ruddle realized that the demons had already reached their area. Lilith also targeted the catapults so that they could no longer be used against their companions. When they finished the mission, Jerome gave the signal to Ike. Then they used the new weapon that Gunther created. It turned out that these were explosives. They wasted no time and attacked their enemies. When Ruddle learned that Ike's entire army was approaching, he decided to withdraw his army. Because of this, the demons successfully protected Alesta. A few hours later, other brigade commanders also arrived after they learned what had happened. While they were discussing the battle that had occurred, Jerome entered to give Ike a letter from the Red Dragon Division. It was from Ruddle, who wanted to congratulate Ike because he was amazed by the brilliance of his plan to achieve victory. However, he still hoped that one day they will meet again. But in their next confrontation, Ruddle would make sure that he would never lose. Ike decided to answer the letter and also said what he wanted to say to Ruddle. A few moments later, the demon lord suddenly arrived with a large dragon which surprised everyone. Since Jerome did not know her, he tried to send her away, thinking she was just playing. Ike took action to stop Jerome, and everyone found out that she was the demon lord. Jerome suddenly remembered that she was the woman who helped them protect Ivalia's. The demon lord congratulated them on their victory against the Red Dragon Division. Because of Ike's successive victories, the demon lord thought that he should not lead just a single brigade. So starting from that day, he would serve as the commander of the 8th Corps. This is the end of the final episode of The Strongest Magician in the Demon Lord's Army Was a Human, Season 1. I hope you like it and give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel and share this video. Thank you for watching.